Football fans, welcome to the February 15th, 2021 edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. I am your host, Shotta, together with my usual partner, Blackburn George, the Arse blogger. In reaction to the Gunners' 4-2 victory on Sunday, we asked the question, was it brilliant Arsenal or pathetic Leeds? Stay tuned for more. Blackburn George, welcome to the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right, but you've caught me just at the time where I need to sneeze, so you'll have to excuse me if I shout into the microphone.
Well,
You know, one of those times where you can feel it, you're going to sneeze.
oh yeah. And I listeners, I don't do a lot of editing, and if he sneezes, you'll have to live with it just like I do. George, brilliant Arsenal or pathetic Leeds? 4-2 was the score on Sunday. Very, very a fun game. If you're the kind of guy who likes lots of goals, lots of incidents. But as observers, as supporters of Arsenal Football Club, brilliant Arsenal?
No. Good Arsenal in the first half. Very poor Leeds in the first half. Okay, average Arsenal in the second half, and decent Leeds in the second half. I think it's somewhere between, we weren't brilliant and they weren't crap. They had good spells in the second half. They were probably the better team in the second half. You just have to decide how much of our good play was down to their bad play, or was it the other way around? Was their bad play down to our good play? You can look at it from any angle, but I think if you look at it reasonably, they played poorly in the first half. That's the worst ball progression that I've seen from them in a long time. They were playing a lot of sideways and backward passes, which they never normally do. And that was, I understand why it was. They were missing the playmaker.
Yes.
And they reshuffled the pack. Personally, who am I to criticise Bielsa? But I think when you have a key player missing, you bring in the best replacement for him that you can and keep the rest of the team the same. Whereas Bielsa reshuffled the entire setup because he was missing players. And I don't think that helped them at all. So a bit of both. Good from us, decent, pretty poor from them.
But the guy Missler, or whatever his name is, the goalkeeper, he was horrible, George. And I saw it from the very beginning.
He was definitely our man of the match.
Oh, yes. And
he got beat twice at his near post.
Yes.
And he gave away a shocking penalty. That's 3 goals. That said, goalkeepers make mistakes. And I think the first strike from Aubameyang, although the goalkeeper's positioning was bad, you have to credit Aubameyang with having the quickness of thought to put it near post where the gap was, because normally every striker would go far post in that situation. Now, because normally every striker would go in that far post position, the keeper had moved a little bit too far to cover that angle, right, leaving his near post open. And Aubameyang saw it and he banged it home. It's a good goal. A mistake from the keeper? Yeah. But, if he hadn't moved over to cover his far post, Aubameyang would probably put it in there as well.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was a mistake by him, but I think you've got to credit Aubameyang with good play as well.
Do you realize?
There's a bit of both, isn't there?
Yes.
good play from Aubameyang and a bit of poor play from the keeper. And that's generally how every goal comes about. Somebody makes a slight mistake and somebody else takes advantage of it.
Yes, the warning signs were there from early. In fact, George, we obviously Arteta decided, and I think you said it online, and I also chimed in a different tweet, but I thought Arteta did something that we did not anticipate. He set up a more attacking lineup, and I'm thinking of the preview done by Shard Gunner, who wondered what kind of lineup he would have, and he surprised us with a more attacking lineup, which suggested to me that he was going to take the game to the opposition. And what obviously we did with this, they must have spotted the weakness in Meslier because we pressed him, and his kicking was poor, his decision making was poor, and in fact the first goal was he was under pressure and he kicked the ball into midfield and they lost possession.
Yeah, and then that penalty was shocking, but that wasn't excellent pressing from us. Mm-hmm. He had plenty of time.
Oh yes, he did.
He took a absolutely ridiculous touch, which gave Saka the chance to get between him and the ball. I mean, that's dreadful, absolutely dreadful. That's not great pressing by us. That's an awful mistake from the goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. I'd like to credit us with pressing, but in that case, that was just shocking. But he's only, what, is he 20 or something?
Yes, he's just barely out of his teens.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. I don't like he has grown a beard yet.
No.
Yes.
What, anywhere near a beard.
Yes.
He doesn't even look 20, to be honest.
Yeah, but he's young. He's young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He helped us.
Helped us a lot, and that was goal number. The penalty was goal number 2. And remind me, George, the Bellerin goal was goal number 3, which came from a scintillating run dribbled by Saka. Then he passed it over to the left-hand side to Aubameyang then crossed it over, and it eventually ended up with Bellerin. I have the sequence somewhere written, but people, if you look on, you can go back to your TV. I don't need to go over that. But he, in my opinion, Saka created a lot of problems in that first half, in particular for Leeds.
Oh, he was outstanding. I mean, if you get a hat-trick, you get the headlines. Mm-hmm. Aubameyang got a hat-trick and he gets the headlines. He got man of the match. But for me, Saka was different class, different grade. He was outstanding. Mm-hmm. Just last week, I sort of had a tweet saying that there's a lot of talk about who's the best young player in the league. Mm-hmm. Of course, some of the young players that they throw in are middle-aged in footballing terms. Well, seriously, Grealish.
Yes. George, he's 20-something.
Years old.
Yes, in football terms. George, by the way, hold on a second, George. Hold on a second, George. When you say that, you're making a very important point, and Wenger says it. Now, when a player is 24, in his book, I at least with my 2-week medical break, just for the benefit of those who didn't know that why I was a kind of off the grid a bit, I spent a lot of time reading Wenger's biography, and it speaks a lot about age. Grealish, as far as Wenger would be concerned, is a mature player entering in his prime. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's middle-aged.
Yeah.
So they talk about him, and when really the young players are Saka, Foden, Greenwood.
Yes.
That's young.
Yes.
And I tweeted last week that, every club thinks that their player, their youngster, is the best.
Right.
12 months ago, it wasn't Saka, was it? It was Martinelli.
Right. You're right, exactly, George. Yes.
Martinelli was where it's at just 12 months ago. Now it's Saka. And I tweeted that we all think we've got the best, but really the best is Phil Foden.
I saw that.
Now, at the time, I thought that, but I've given it some thought since, and I do think Phil Foden's an outstanding talent. You know, he's something special. But he's in a team where his talents are capitalised. He can do interchanges with other players. They're on his level. Yeah. He gets the chance to look outstanding. But Saka's looking outstanding with some average players, or good players, decent players, but I'm not sure there's that much difference now. It's only a week later, and only one game later, but I'm sort of changing my mind that Saka is that. This isn't a criticism of Foden.
Yeah,
I'm saying Saka's that level. He's better than I thought he was when I've considered it further, because although he's good, he's clearly excellent. He could be even better than that, because what he's doing in a team that's been struggling, not an established team, not a team of world-class players like Foden's benefiting from.
Yes.
He's making an incredible impact, absolutely incredible impact. I mean, he's our best player.
You won't get any arguments from me, George. What is outstanding about him is his decision making. Whether to run a 1-2 with Bellerin or whoever, or ESR, whoever, because he does that. He does that very well. It is decision making, George. Whether to pass or to dribble, whether to take on when to put the defender under pressure. Even that penalty call against, I think the guy's name is Cooper. When he went in the box and the guy, whoever what his name was, I think was it Mariner? Who was the referee? God knows who he is. They're all the same anyway. But it was a brilliant run, George. Taking the guy into the penalty box, taking two defenders with him, and they had to put a body on him. They had to give him a little touch.
Yeah, absolutely. He's outstanding. Right. Absolutely outstanding.
Yes.
And 20 years old.
Yes. He's like and that's what amazes me, is that his decision making for a 20-year-old, right? He's technically good, George, but his decision making is top class. I love that.
He's a wonderful player. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful player.
But George, none of the two websites that I went that do reviews, Sofa and Football Critic, make any mention of him. They all focus on Aubameyang.
Of course, yeah. That's the way it goes, isn't it? We see it all the time, But as long as we know, and I think sometimes we go over the top with players.
Yes.
But I don't think we're going over the top with him. I really don't. I think he's absolutely outstanding. 20 years old, I'd say it again. The future, he's 10 years in him.
Somebody was saying yesterday that Aubameyang, Arteta should get 18 months more on his contract because he convinced him to sign for 3 years? So
I don't know. Don't be giving me that. No, I'm not crediting. I'm not crediting Arteta with Saka. No, I'm not having that.
Well, it's Emery who gave him his break, right? I mean, no, Freddie. I'm sorry. There we go. I'm making a huge error again. It was Freddie who had him in the youth system who gave him his break. Let's never forget that.
No, I'm not having that.
George.
And I'm not crediting him for playing him either. To not play him is ridiculous. But he is playing, and let's just appreciate him and understand that the best could very well yet to come.
Well, you know, George,